Thank you for watching this short YouTube. I hopefully will be 10 minutes long, but it's a reflection on finding your way through tragedy. I receive many requests for help in the form of an email, a telephone call, or maybe a gentle knock at the monastery door, where individuals just find it so difficult to pick themselves up when tragedy strikes. And tragedy is something we're not immune from, because as human beings on this earth plane, we each will face a tragic situation in our life. That goes without certain. And I can only speak from my heart, because I remember, 1996, I faced such a tragedy. And as a nurse, a senior nurse in palliative care, caring for the dying, it wasn't a job, it was a way of life. Because the patient, in their struggles and tragic circumstances, were really my best teachers. I learned so much about the virtues of humility, compassion, tolerance, acceptance. And though my faith was often challenged, I was nonetheless a richer person for the experience. And then tragedy hit me on a personal level when my dear friend of 28 years, a brother monk, was facing his own death and dying. And yes, it was hard for both of us, because we upheld honesty in every discussion we had. But when he left our earth plane, I knew that his work here was finished, and he had greater work to do in the beyond. But his leaving left a part of me redundant, and I went into a deep mourning. And that mourning took many facets, and one of them was the inability to rise up, to get out of that trap of where I was so vulnerable, so despondent. Even I felt helpless and hopeless, until several months later I was guided to take a course of antidepressant therapy, which I reluctantly took. And then I was introduced to an even bigger tragedy: mental illness. But out of the mayhem of managing the stigma around mental illness within a nursing profession, where you would have thought you would have had a more compassionate response from colleagues, in fact, it was the opposite. General trained nurses have this innate fear of mental illness. It is so tragic to admit to that, but it's true. But reaching rock bottom then in my life, where I had to face some big issues, seeking ill health retirement, coping with the dynamics of depression, and where it left me quite vulnerable. But I know over a 4-year period, something else was happening. And I believe it was the power of prayer, not my prayer, but my friends and others whom I'd never met, who were holding me in a cocoon of love. And prayer was answered. And that empowered me not to lie down and give in or run away, but to face each circumstance with love, because I was loved. And today, I very much rely on my own personal scenarios to enable me understand the client group that seek my help. Because you've heard the expression as I have, oh, pull yourself together. How easy that is. To say it, I mean, but not so easy to do in reality. And besides, we're not a pair of curtains. We're each human beings who are affected on many levels. And I know a dear acquaintance who recently lost their son. A good person, a kind person, always there for you, always there for everybody, and who worked in the caring profession, and I believe lost themselves in that profession of being needed and wanted and loved. But our hearts went out to them last Christmas because we knew on many levels this would be a big one. This would be the test of tests. And the only way we could reach out was, of course, to hold them in prayer. But the second one was to let them know that we cared. Not just by word, but by deed. And I believe that when our back is to the wall and there's no sign of going up or down, to the left or to the right, the traffic lights are on red and we're stuck, is to ask for help. But that's something we're not good at. I know I'm not. I think I'm getting better. But I believe that through the power of prayer, many dismiss prayer, but the efficacy of prayer is a twofold response. The heart crying out for help, and the heart of God willing to reach out and offer help. And that help is given 24/7, and it empowers the heart, along with the prayers of others, to rise up and forge ahead and not give in. It may take a little longer, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's about learning to walk, to manage the dynamics, and more than anything, to trust your heart, to listen to your heart. The textbooks gives us wonderful examples of the things we should do and the things we must never do. But let me read to you the thought for today. Contrary to widespread opinion, spiritual work only requires a little knowledge, so long, of course, as that knowledge concerned what is essential and one has decided to work. Every truth is like a seed we sow, and from which a whole tree will start to grow. That is true knowledge, and those who possess it never feel alone or abandoned, and whatever difficulties they have, they find a way out. If you want to make your life richer and more beautiful every day, bless all created beings you meet and everything you touch. Thank the Lord for all that you receive, the joy and the hardship, the pain and the sorrow, and dedicate everything that you do to God. All the books and all the libraries will never replace these three practices: blessing, giving thanks, and dedicating. Make them a rule for your entire life. And at some level you will sense a hidden power, a hidden strength that will inspire you to forge ahead, and that nothing will deter you in your search for peace. Experience that peace, for that peace is offered to us by God. not the God of religion, the God of spirituality, who's trying to embrace and touch us even now. And if you who are watching this are struggling, email me, contact me, and I will hold you in my heart and ask the Supreme to bless you and give you the strength to reclaim your divinity as a child of God. Be strong, be happy.